COVID-19 claims more Nigerian lives as four more succumb to the virus. Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum tells Northern leaders the nation needs to seek solutions together. In international news, U.S. former Vice President Joe Biden inches close to 270 electoral votes that would put him in the White House. And in sport, Minister of Youth and Sports Development says no fans for Super Eagles Sierra Leone clash.
This is ANN News.
I am Olanjumoke Olatunji. Nigeria has been fairly successful in its fight against the new coronavirus outbreak, but new cases still surface and more people have died as a result of the disease. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) reported 155 new cases of the virus on Wednesday, raising the total number of confirmed cases to nearly 63,500. 4 new deaths were also recorded. The new cases were confirmed in 8 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with Lagos, the COVID-19 epicenter, hosting 85 of the cases. Abuja had 23, Ondo 18, and Ogun 8. 5 each were counted to Kaduna, Oyo, and Taraba, while Rivers reported 2 and Bauchi 1. Nearly 60,000 patients have been discharged and 1,155 deaths have been reported. The House Committee on Finance, Electoral Matters and Power heard some more budget defenses on Wednesday, during which Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed told committee members the 100 billion naira Mambila hydroelectric power project had no allocation in the 2021 budget proposal. She said the allocation did not make it into her ministry's budget, which has a ceiling because the Ministry of Power did not prioritize the project. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission had a tough time defending before the committee its proposal to spend 2 billion naira to furnish and partition its Abuja office. And ERC Chairman James Momo was grilled and rattled before the committee as he struggled to properly explain why his commission needs such huge funds for partitions and furnishings. House Committee Chairman Aliyu Magaji was not satisfied with Momo's reasons and threatened to delete the item from the budget if better details were not provided. The NSAS issue is still striking raw nerves among various groups in the country. The Southern and Mid-Belt Leaders Forum, SMBLF, has criticized Northern governors, emirs and other leaders for the stand taken at a recent meeting following the NSAS protest. The forum said in a communique at the end of an emergency meeting in Abuja, Nigerians should be putting heads together nationally to seek solutions to their problems, rather than divisive stands, and the focus is on sectional interest. The forum said in the communique it is irresponsible to sectionalize the national government to allow what it calls insensibility, insensitivity, and total subversion of the unity of the country that it assigns to, quote, the lips of those behind the meeting, end quote. The forum said it had been calling for restructuring as a multi-ethnic country that can only be run along federal lines because it had seen ahead of all that is happening now. After a long list of grievances against Northern governors and leaders, the forum said in its communique, quote, instead of treating leprosy, our counterparts are dealing with eczema, end quote. The COVID-19 pandemic has held many projects hostage in many countries, including Nigeria, where many infrastructure projects have stalled through lockdowns, curfews, restrictions, and health measures to ensure the nation's safety. Correspondent Deji Badmus outlines some of those national projects.
If there's one signature infrastructure project in Nigeria that has been badly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the country's railway project. Specifically, the $1.6 billion Lagos-Ibadan Railway project. The 156-kilometer railway line construction was originally scheduled for completion in April, but with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's now been moved to the end of the year.
We cannot be in a hurry and endanger our workers' life. So I think it's better to wait. As they say, it's better that you are late than to become delayed.
As it is with government projects, so it is with private ones. Shortly after the outbreak of the pandemic in Nigeria, the government shut down all construction sites as a means to check the spread of the disease. And even though it's been several weeks now since construction sites were allowed to reopen, developers are counting their cost.
We're developing an estate. It's a beachside estate, and it's basically site and services. Now, the COVID has literally changed our delivery timelines. And being a project that is on a bank loan, it's really been very difficult. And right now we're trying to look for how to make up lost time, and make sure that we're able to deliver what we promised to our subscribers. So it's really been tough for everybody. And just when we're getting off that, we got into the whole protests and lockdown again. So it's really been a turbulent year.
The drastic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on infrastructure has been very devastating. I'll put them into three categories. One is the development of infrastructure, two is the construction of infrastructure, and three is the operations in the construction of infrastructure in Nigeria. In the three categories have been grossly affected by the pandemic and the lack of work to be done during the period in which the pandemic have ravaged the whole world.
For now, work is yet to fully resume at many infrastructure project sites across the country. Added to that is the devaluation of the local currency, which has driven up the cost of construction.
One of the major challenges on projects right now is the foreign exchange. So a lot of procurement work has to be redone in terms of the projects, re-evaluation of the projects to know whether the costs that were put on projects before the pandemic started is also being worked on to know whether the cost implication is going to be able to go around the projects that has been done.
It's indeed a tough time for infrastructure development at the moment. Experts say it will be a while before some sense of normality returns to one's thriving industry.
Coming up, African stories. Democratic Republic of the Congo brings Ebola outbreak under control in its northwestern province. And later, international news. The way is becoming clear in U.S. elections as former Vice President Joe Biden closes in on 270 electoral votes to take the reign of government.
You are watching ANN.
Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The Democratic Republic of the Congo has a reason to smile a little as it reports Ebola outbreak is now under control in its northwestern province. The nation has been battling health emergencies on two fronts, Ebola and COVID-19. Correspondent Chris Okamringa reports.
The spread of the Ebola outbreak in the northwest of the DRC has slowed significantly over the past 2 months Many of the health centers there no longer have any patients. The disease broke out in the dense rainforest of Mbandaka in June. The poor road network posed serious logistical challenges for health workers. But Congolese health officials are now optimistic about bringing it to an end.
Déclaration de la fin de l'épidémie, une épidémie qui a démarré.
The situation is now under control. We are continuing to fight the Ebola outbreak until we end it. The outbreak was announced in June. We've recorded 130 cases and 55 deaths so far. We've now gone for 35 days without recording a new case. We are left with a few days to declare the outbreak over.
The outbreak can only be declared over after 42 days have elapsed since the last patient tests negative. The decline in cases has been attributed to the availability of vaccines and treatments. According to the World Health Organization, 40,000 people have been vaccinated in the northwest of the DRC since the beginning of the outbreak. This is the 11th Ebola outbreak to occur in the DRC since 1976. The previous epidemic in the east was the worst in the country's history, with more than 2,200 deaths recorded.
Teams from the Tunisian electricity and gas company operating in Rwanda have successfully commissioned a high-voltage station in Rwanda. This is part of the electricity transmission projects currently being implemented in the East African country. Correspondent Adnin Chawoji has that story.
The Tunisian Electricity and Gas Company International Services, STEC International Services IS, successfully commissioned 83 kilometers of 220 kilovolt and 110 kilovolt transmission lines from Mamba, south of Rwanda, up to Ganga in the suburbs of Kigali. These works in Rwanda are the first phase of the electricity transmission project that was signed between STEC International Services and the Energy Development Corporation Limited 3 years ago. STEC IS also succeeded in commissioning a 220 kilovolt substation in Mamba that will evacuate power from the power plant that is still under construction.
This power plant is successful. We are proud of this achievement in Rwanda. It was developed by Tunisian professionals who've proven that a Tunisian company can realize gigantic electricity projects. STEG International Services is a good model and example for other Tunisian enterprises.
The project is divided into two main parts, the transmission lines and the high-voltage substations.
The lines, there are two types of lines. There are 220 kilovolt lines, which are a total of 60 kilometers, 170 towers. And there is the 110 kV lines with a total of 40 kilometers and 120 something towers. For the substations, there are three substations. There is Mamba substation, Rwabusuru substation and Bugesera substations. These are HV substations. In each substation there is an auto transformer of 93 MVA, which is considered as a big transformer, especially in Rwanda within its current network.
Energy experts affirm that STEG and its subsidiary STEG IS is playing a critical role by exporting its services to sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East region. The company operates in Libya, Senegal and Saudi Arabia.
The company can realize projects in renewable and traditional energy. STEG and STEG International Services have the necessary logistical and human means, as well as the technical expertise.
The new power plant in Rwanda will evacuate power to its national network. There will be an interconnection between Rwanda, Tanzania and Democratic Republic of Congo. STEG IS substations will be integral to this interconnection. The power plant has cost $64 million. Over 200 Tunisian engineers, technicians and administrative staff are taking part in the project. According to STEG International Services, similar projects are under study in other African countries.
A two-week national dialogue conference began in Juba, the South Sudanese capital, on Tuesday to plan for the country's future. An impressive list of attendees includes South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and African Union Commission Chairman Musa Faki Mohammed. Respondent Patrick Oyet is there.
The dialogue is meant to reconcile, unite, and determine South Sudan's future. More than 500 representatives from different communities and political parties are participating in the conference.
We declare the National Conference in Juba to become the strong basis for the full participation of our citizens in building national cohesion.
But the National Dialogue Committee says Vice President Riek Machar's faction and one other opposition group are not participating. The groups opposed to the dialogue say the process started when they were not in the country. African Union is urging all parties to the 2018 peace agreement to continue implementing the deal.
We urge the parties to fully implement the security arrangements in order to keep the peace process on track.
The United Nations has been providing logistic support to the National Dialogue Committee. It says the process has helped reduce violence across the country.
We've seen a ceasefire that's been in place for 3 years and holding. We've seen a peace agreement that's been here for over 2 years. And we've seen since the beginning of this year a transitional government that's functioning and moving forward. There is progress.
Resolutions from the National Dialogue are expected to be submitted to South Sudan's cabinet.
The plan is that once the resolutions are passed by the executive branch, it would be taken to Parliament for adoption, but some opposition groups say the National Dialogue's relevance has been superseded by the 2018 peace agreement.
When we return, international news. U.S. former Vice President Joe Biden inches close to 270 electoral votes that would put him in the White House. And later, sports. Minister of Youth and Sports Development says no fans for Super Eagles Sierra Leone clash.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. U.S. former Vice President Joe Biden edges closer to victory in Tuesday's presidential elections as vote counting continues in some key battleground states that will determine the outcome of the election. The final result hinges on the states of Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Biden is just 6 electoral college votes shy of the 270 needed to become president. Incumbent President Donald Trump has 213. Election watchers doubt he would be able to close the gap. Biden's wins in Michigan and Wisconsin opened up his path to victory on Wednesday. Attention had since shifted on Thursday to a few states where vote tallies have remained too close to declare a winner. President Trump has headed to the court where he has filed a barrage of lawsuits challenging the validity of the vote counts of mail-in and absentee ballots that began the morning after the election day. Has had been anticipated by businesses in the country. Protesters have taken to the streets of several cities to support or to oppose continued vote counting. President Donald Trump has alleged electoral fraud without presenting any evidence to back up his charges. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden has proposed a $5 trillion plan to combat climate change if he should become president. He has also vowed to return his country to the Paris Climate Change Accord on his first day in office should he win. The U.S. officially left the Paris Accord on Wednesday, 3 years after President Donald Trump announced the U.S. would leave the International Climate Change Forum. The accord is a collective agreement among nearly 200 countries that aims to prevent the Earth's temperatures from rising 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial revolution temperatures. Experts say the increase in temperature could result in rising sea levels and more extreme weather events like hurricanes, droughts, and wildfires. This could lead to mass migration and shortages in food production. The United Kingdom has begun another national lockdown caused by a spike in COVID-19 cases, and after other European nations have also taken drastic steps to counter a resurgence of cases and deaths across the continent. The country's National Health Services has warned that more hospital beds could be filled within 2 weeks than what the country witnessed during the first wave. A 4-week stay-at-home order will have all non-essential shops and venues closed until early December. Streets are likely to be more heavily policed than during the first national lockdown in March. England's lockdown came days after similar measures were enacted in France and Germany, and ahead of a number of Italian regions becoming red zones on Friday. The UK reported its second largest daily increase in cases on Wednesday, with more than 25,000 new infections and nearly 500 deaths recorded in 24 hours. Argentine organic produce is now featuring more prominently in international markets, and its companies are now targeting Chinese consumers more so amid the coronavirus pandemic. Government data have shown Argentina exported 166,000 tons of organic produce in 2018. Correspondent Joel Richards reports.
Argentina remains in the grip of increasing COVID-19 infections, and the economy is expected to be amongst the hardest hit in South America. Business leaders here are banking on ramping up and diversifying exports. Targeting China's growing middle class is a key part of that strategy. Argentina is the guest of honour at this year's China International Import Expo, but as a result of travel restrictions because of the pandemic, very few business leaders will actually go in person. And that means that here they're looking at opening up new avenues of communication and trade. Global e-commerce has boomed during the pandemic. At the Argentina-China Council, Ernesto Taboada says companies here need to adapt in order to respond to the growing online demand from China.
Now you need to have the products in China. We can negotiate from there, but once you finish the negotiations, you have to be able to deliver the goods in the next few days. This is the case with prawns, wine and other products. We have to get up to speed with this new way of doing business.
Taboada says Argentina accounts for just 5% of wine sales in China, and it is one area they are targeting growth. The company Andex specializes in helping small and medium-sized producers enter the Chinese market. They say having products ready for delivery in China is only part of the equation.
Having stock ready to deliver from one of the logistics hubs is a very good initiative. But we've seen that some companies started working with those hubs without properly developing its sales.
Andex says navigating the complex e-commerce system in China is part of the challenge.
As opposed to other countries, there are many different platforms in China. There's a whole universe of platforms. Each has its own different form of sales. You have to choose the right channel, and the type of wine that you have also determines the type of platform. You have to be careful, because choosing one certain platform could hurt sales from other platforms.
Unable to travel to China to meet clients and customers face-to-face, Argentine companies are increasingly going online to market and sell their goods.
Kosovo President Kashim Thaci, who was a leader during the country's war for independence, has resigned in order to face charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity at a special court based in The Hague. Thaci announced his resignation at a news conference on Thursday and said he was quitting to protect the integrity of the presidency of Kosovo. Thaci commanded fighters in the Kosovo Liberation Army during the 1998 to 1999 war. Thaci and 9 others have been accused of committing nearly 100 murders and other atrocities against hundreds of known victims of Kosovo, Albanian, Serb, Roma and other ethnicities and political opponents. Tati was questioned over his role in the 1990s conflict by prosecutors in The Hague for the first time in July at the specialist chamber set up in The Hague in 2015 to handle cases of alleged crimes by KLA fighters during the war that eventually led to Kosovo's independence from Serbia. The Hague-based court is governed by Kosovo law, but is staffed by international judges and prosecutors. The war, which came to an end after NATO-led air raids, left more than 10,000 dead. Authorities are still unable to account for more than 1,600 persons.
Up next, sports. Minister of Youth and Sports Development says no fans for Super Eagles Sierra Leone clash. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening.
Up next, sports. Minister of Youth and Sports Development says no fans for Super Eagles Sierra Leone clash. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare has announced there will be no fans at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City during the Super Eagles and Sierra Leone 2020 AFCON qualifier next week. The ministry says admitting fans into the match venue would breach COVID-19 protocols. Spain's Rafael Nadal has secured the 1,000th tour-level victory of his career on Wednesday, becoming the fourth man to reach that mark with a comeback 3-set win over Feliciano Lopez in the Paris Masters second round. The 20-time Grand Slam champion back in the French capital less than a month after winning his 13th Roland Garros title edged out his fellow Spaniard 4-6, 7-6, 7-5, 6-4. Nadal, whose first match win on the ATP Tour came in April 2002, is fourth on the all-time list. The 34-year-old Nadal bidding for a first Paris Masters title will face Jordan Thompson in the third round. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.